So I did my first market as an artist, and here's how it went. It flopped. And here's the reasons why I think why it flopped. Okay, so one, I found out about it last minute. I found out about it maybe a week and a half, not quite 2 weeks prior to the event. There was a schedule change for the event made last minute, and they actually had to switch locations. So it was meant to be at one location, one date and time, and then last minute they switched it to a different location for a different date, but around the same time period. And I don't think that they fully communicated that to their customers the same way that they communicated to the vendors. And I'm going based off what I've seen them post about on Instagram. They didn't start promoting the event until like the week of the event, not a couple of weeks leading up to the event, like they had promoted other events. And I didn't really see anything about, hey guys, we have to change locations, we have to change the schedule, whatever, like that. Now, I am not on like the customer side of their email list. I'm on their vendor side of their email list. So I don't know what all went out to like the customers versus what went out to the vendors. But based on the social media posts, I didn't really see anything like that posted on their Instagram or like their TikTok. I honestly didn't really see them start promoting for the event until I had asked them like, "Hey, do you have any marketing pictures that I can use to promote on social media?" And then they sent me the marketing pictures. And then after I started posting, that's when they started posting. So I feel like there was a little bit of a disconnect between the customers and the actual experience. So I don't think that it had as big of a turnout as it could have for that one reason. I had so many printer issues leading up to this event. Like just before or around the time that I had found out about this event, my eco tank, like the ink pad had died, and I was contacting like Epson, Amazon, and then eventually Assurion, which is like the insurance that you buy for it, like the warranty insurance, to like just try and figure out like, hey, I have the warranty, I'm still within, the warranty time period, what can we do about this? I was thinking, maybe they would repair the ink pad and send it back to me, or maybe they would have some type of shop that they have a relationship with where they would pay for the ink pad to be repaired, or something like that. But they asked me to pack the printer up in the box, their original box, and ship it back to them. They sent me a shipping label to give to UPS. I was a little concerned about this shipping label because it was tiny. It was like this size, whereas like a normal shipping label was about this size. So I dropped it off at UPS and they sent me a refund for that. Great. But when I had bought this printer, when I had like around the time that this whole ink pad situation had happened, I had just spent over $70 on the refill ink needed for that printer. If you don't know anything about ego tanks, basically they don't have cartridges. They have like these little ink. They have like these bottles of ink that you refill the printer with, and that's kind of like the main selling point is that they don't have cartridges. You can refill the ink, and that ink lasted me about 2 years, and I print out a lot of stuff. Okay, so it lasted pretty long. So I had to re-buy the ink. The printer already comes with ink, and then you install it when you get the printer. So the manufacturer's ink that came with it had ran out. I bought some new ink, and then right after like the window to return this ink had like expired, that's when I started having all these issues with the ink pad. And it was too late for me to return this ink that was freaking $70. Like, oh my gosh, why is the ink so expensive? When I first bought this printer, the ink was probably like $35, $40. I don't know what made it like go up at like an insane price, but it was crazy. What had made me decide to get a different printer other than an ink tank is because the last time I had an ink tank and this whole ink pad situation had happened, they told me that the reason why my ink pad had failed is because I used generic ink. And it was my fault for putting in generic ink instead of the official Epson brand of ink. But this time I had used the official brand of Epson ink that came with the printer, and I still had the ink pad fail. So I'm like, clearly, this isn't a me problem. This isn't something that I'm doing or not supposed to be doing. Clearly, it's something going on with this printer where the ink pad is just gonna go out in the next 1 or 2 years. I'm gonna switch printers and just be done with eco tanks because I'm just sick of this whole ink pad issue happening at very inopportune times in my life. So I decided to research other tanks because I still wanted a tank, but it didn't have to be eco tank. It could be some other brand of tanks. I saw a bunch of artists posting how they were switching from Eco Tank to the Canon tank, and their experience setting it up was really smooth. The quality was great. Like I just thought that it would be a cool transition. I was wrong. Okay, so I ordered this printer and I ordered all this displays and stuff like a week before, the show. And I was slowly getting those packages in and everything was great. But the printer was the thing that was going to take me the longest time to get here. So the printer was supposed to get here on Friday. The event was on Sunday. And I had planned to get the printer and set everything up and start printing on Friday and Saturday and try and get out as much stuff as I possibly can get done. But I got the notification that my printer was delivered and it says that the delivery person left the package in the mailbox. Obviously, a printer is too big to fit in a mailbox, and it was too big to fit inside of like the package lockers. But I asked the guy that does like the leasing and apartment things, if he could check, the lockers, if he could check around, like did somebody grab it. I'm thinking that either A, somebody stole my package, B, maybe it was misplaced, it's somewhere that I just haven't looked at, or C, maybe the delivery driver just left it out on the sidewalk and never even bothered to walk in the building, let alone put it in a locker or something. And somebody had stole it or whatever. But turns out after all of that stress, worried about, somebody stealing my package when I don't have time for this, I contacted customer service, explained the situation, and they're like, so it turns out that the delivery person marked this as delivered, but it's actually still en route. You should get it either later on tonight or early tomorrow morning, and I will call you on Monday to check back. And I was like, absolutely not. I want a refund right now because I have no way of being able to track this printer to make sure that it'll be delivered by tonight or tomorrow. And I have things going on this weekend where I don't have time for that. Monday will be too late. I want a refund now. So he is like trying to convince me, like, oh, I'm sure it's en route. I'm sure you'll get it later today. I'm sure you'll get it first thing in the morning. And I'm like, I have no way of being able to track that or prove it or anything because you guys marked it as delivered when it wasn't delivered. So I can no longer track this package to make sure. So I decided to, just demand a refund. So he agreed to give me a refund, but unfortunately couldn't go back to my card. I had to go back to Amazon. So I have like the value of the printer sitting as like a gift card that isn't in my account. The reason why I needed it back in my account is so that I can go to the store and buy a new printer without having to spend like brand new money. I can use the money that I already spent on this printer towards another printer. So I looked online to see if I could find this printer somewhere local, Walmart, Target, Staples, Office Max, somewhere. And I saw that it was available at Staples. So I asked my partner, hey, I'm going to request this printer for pickup at Staples and I need you to just go there and pick it up, give them my name, give them my information and everything. So he gets to Staples. I sent him all the information, and the people in Staples are acting like they don't want to give me my damn printer that I just paid for. Like at first, they were telling him, we need this, we need that. I'm sending screenshots of the email. They're like, no, we need the actual email, not just screenshots of the email. I forwarded him the email. He's like, no, we're waiting for another email. You should have a different email. I'm like, no, that's no email I've ever received. And they're like, no, we need a barcode. I'm like, I don't have anything with a barcode. I go back to the checkout page. I took screenshots of that. And I'm like, there was no barcode on the checkout page. There's no barcode in the email. And he's like, oh, it's still processing. It's still processing. I'm like, what is there to process? Can't you just go get it off the shelf and hand it to him? Like, it says pick up in 30 minutes. It's not like it was one of those situations where you order something to a store and it takes 3 to 5 days to get there and they got to do all this stuff. Like, no, it was pick up in 30 minutes. So I'm expecting for him to just pick it up and bring it home. Anyway, so eventually they give him the printer. And then as he's on his way home, I eventually get that email with the barcode, but it was too late. But I'm glad they gave him the printer. This printer was a pain in the ass to set up. It took like 5 hours despite the easy setup. There was no directions to set this printer up. Instead, it came with like a card that was like it was like a website and QR code. I use my phone to get on the QR code and it takes me to a website. I go to this website expecting there to be directions. No, it's prompting me to download an app. I download the app and I'm going through the directions on how to set up the Wi Fi. And it's like the directions in this app were telling me to download the app. And I'm like, why are you telling me to download the app? I'm already in the app. Like, what is going on? So I'm trying to set up the Wi Fi because it is a Wi Fi, connected printer. The app It's telling me to go to the printer to set things up. I go to the printer to set things up. The printer is telling me to go to the app. So it was just this back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on TikTok and see if I can find someone giving me directions on how to set this up because clearly the manufacturer doesn't know how to do that. So I'm like watching several TikTok videos. No one's telling me anything. I go to YouTube and I swear I had to watch like at least 3 to 5 YouTube videos just to figure out how to set up my freaking Wi Fi. I set up the Wi Fi, I do a couple of test prints, and it is the dingiest quality I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, absolutely not. This cannot be. I have so much stuff to print out. I just, I don't know. I just couldn't.
Okay, so in addition to having issues getting my printer today, from the Amazon driver not delivering it but marking it as delivered, the customer service agent not wanting to give me a refund but reluctantly give me one in the form of an Amazon gift card, not like on my original form of payment, that wasn't possible for other reasons. Staples, I order in-store pickup in 30 minutes. They act like they didn't want to give me my shit, complaining about processing. I need this, I need that. I need you to give me the shit I paid for. I eventually got it. Got the printer at home. I'm looking for directions on how to set this thing up. They sent me 5 different forms. None of them are instructions. Literally telling me to go to a website to set it up. I've never seen anything like this before. Are manufacturers not sending you instructions on how to set things up anymore? They just send you websites and QR codes? Like, what the hell is this? I hope that this printer is easy to set up after I go to this website because what? I'm sorry, what? Okay, so it took like 5 hours just to turn on the freaking Wi Fi and connect it to my printer, which, even though it says easy connect, it's not. The app is useless. This is what some test prints look like on plain paper, and I just thought, well, maybe because it's plain paper, I changed the settings to make it better. It didn't get better. I tested it out in cardstock, and it's still almost just as dingy. Slightly better, but still almost just as dingy. This is after I changed some of the print settings to make it more vibrant. This may look decent on camera, but this is what it's supposed to look like. Like, you see how dark and vibrant that is and how it's able to pick up more details? Like, this is what I wanted. This is a pastel. And this is the best that Canon can do. Like, oh my gosh, this is such a pain in the ass. It literally took hours, and I can't do it. I guess the little bun wanted to come and say hi to you guys. That's the noise that you guys just heard. She was doing her inside sneezes. But yeah, like, I'm taking this back to Staples and getting my freaking refund. I want quality. Like, this is the pastels. And this is what you guys gave me. And this is on the cardstock. Like, I cannot sell this to people at a freaking art market. It'll be such a waste of ink and paper. Like, oh my goodness. What am I supposed to do with this crap? So yeah, like, first thing in the morning, I'm taking this back to Staples and exchanging it for an Eco Tank and just paying the difference because what the hell is this? I don't even know.
Do it. I was like freaking out. I was like, I'm gonna take this back to Staples first thing in the morning. You know what happened first thing in the morning? The printer that Amazon was supposed to drop off on Friday arrived, and I went to go get it. I never opened it. I still went to Staples. I was hoping that I can do an exchange and pay the difference from the Canon printer to the EcoTank because I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go back to EcoTank. I'm gonna buy the cheapest EcoTank that I can find in Staples because I at least know that the quality is good. I at least know that they will print out everything nice and vibrant. I at least know that it'll take me 20, maybe 30 minutes max to set it up. And I already know how to set things up and it'll be fine. None of this 5 hours nonsense going on with the Canon and this dingy ass print. I did change the settings on the printer to make it appear more vibrant. And the most vibrant setting on the Canon is so dingy. It's like the worst eco tank print I've ever printed out is still better than what a Canon tank could do. Like I just wasn't trying to deal with it. So I finally was able to go and, do it. But Staples is telling me that they don't do exchanges. Like I can return the printer, but I won't get the refund for another 3 to 5 days. But I have to buy a whole new printer. Like I can't just apply the money from this printer to the next. I gotta buy a whole new printer plus some warranty. Like great. Extra money on a whole new printer that I wasn't expecting to spend, but I still need this printer like today. So I came home, I started setting things up. It only took about 20, 30 minutes. And I started doing test prints and everything was working fine. I printed out a lot of prints, but I wasn't able to finish the prints because at some point something happened with the firmware where it needed to be reset and there was a notification on the EcoTank saying do not use again for another 12 hours. At that point, it was like 2, maybe 3 a.m. in the morning. I did not finish printing out my prints. I didn't get to print out my bookmarks. I didn't get to print out my business cards. I didn't get to print out my signs or like anything that I actually needed besides those prints. I wasn't even able to finish printing out all of the prints. So when I arrived to the event, like my table was obviously missing those essential things. Like people would ask me for a business card and I like literally had to handwrite on one of my post-it notes, like, please take a picture of this. I don't have business cards. And it was like a thank you note. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh. Also, I didn't buy as many displays as I needed. So I feel like my table looked a little bit empty, a little bit unput together. Like I really didn't fully understand how to set my table up for what I sell now. Like I know how to set my table up for if I want to sell jewelry and how to do all of that. But how to sell stickers and prints and all that stuff, I really just didn't fully understand the dynamics of that. And I did watch videos. I did look at pictures. I did look at Pinterest to see examples, but I just didn't fully understand how to do that with what I had going for me, especially since I bought a display for bookmarks and I wasn't able to print out my bookmarks. I bought a display for stickers and I had enough stickers to fill this up, but I feel like it looked empty. Like maybe I should have moved that closer to the table instead of trying to maximize space, trying to put everything at the front so people could easily see it and everything. I would definitely do things differently next time. Okay, so the weather. The weather was another thing that was out of my control. So starting Thursday night into Friday morning, we got hit with a heavy air quality index from the Canadian wildfires. Like it started off the charts in the 700s on like Thursday night, Saturday, or Friday, and then it was growing down from there. But the air quality was still very thick. There was still like a wind advisory, air quality advisory in effect the whole weekend. People with bronchitis, people with asthma, people with all these other health issues were like under advisory to avoid going outside as much as possible, wear a mask, turn on your air purifier. If you don't have one, go get one, type of thing. So a lot of people stayed inside over the weekend because they didn't want to be exposed to the terrible air quality. Now on Sunday, it had went down to 58, but you have to keep in mind that a normal air quality index is supposed to be anywhere between 0 and 50, and that 58 is still just a little bit high. And Friday to Sunday isn't enough time to fully recover from the damage from that because people are getting headaches, smoke alarms are going off, fire alarms are going off, some people's car alarms are going off. Like it was just a little bit chaotic. So I feel like that definitely affected the traffic. Now, people that bought their tickets in advance who had concerns about the air, they probably went just because they already spent their money on it. But the people who planned on buying tickets once they got there, I don't know. I guess they decide to take their chances. A lot of people who come to these events have been coming to these events for years, and they go to different events that the company hosts because this isn't their only location. They have some around the suburbs, they have some in different states. Like some people hop around to different events because they genuinely love shopping at these functions. They know some of the vendors, they know some of the owners. Like it's just a nice thing for the community to do. So I feel like the weather definitely impacted the traffic that I had access to. Okay, so there were medical issues on my part. That isn't anybody else's fault or anything. It's just like one of those things where it's like these things just kind of happen. Okay, so about a month ago, I had a severe allergic reaction to something that I ate. I went to the ER. I got pumped up with all these steroids and everything. And I was asking questions like, what happened? What caused this? And they were telling me they don't know. I need to go to an allergist to get tested because they don't do allergy tests in the emergency room, which I thought was a little bit odd, but I said, okay. Luckily, I was able to get an appointment in with my allergist. Well, I don't have an allergist, but I had to get the quickest allergist that I can get. Um, so I booked an appointment with the allergist and got tested for all the things. It took about 2 weeks to get tested for all the things, and everything turned out negative or like not detected or whatever. But the allergist told me that that doesn't mean that I'm not allergic to those things. It just means that the test wasn't able to pick up on it. And since I had that allergic reaction, I've also been dealing with like extreme acid reflux. So the acid reflux can explain why my throat felt like it was closing and why I was struggling to breathe. Because I've been having that issue since this allergic reaction happened. But it doesn't explain why my lips and tongue swelled up and why their emergency steroids actually work to reduce that swelling. If it wasn't an allergic reaction, then that medication would not have worked on that situation. So I don't know what happened. The doctors don't know what happened. But basically, I haven't really been able to eat anything because 90% of the food that I have been trying to eat, it causes my throat to close up and I feel like I'm choking. And like the first time this happened, I thought it was another allergic reaction, but like um I took Benadryl, I took Claritin, I almost stabbed myself with an EpiPen and went back to the ER, but I was like, no, I think that this is acid reflux. So let me just take some Tums and let it chill out because like I can breathe just fine, just my throat feels closed up and like my face isn't swollen or anything. So that's been happening a lot within the last month or so. And I feel like the allergist hasn't been very helpful in clarifying, what happened and why it happened. But basically, because of this whole situation, I have not been eating um, properly for the last month or so. Like, I will be able to eat maybe once every couple of days, but for the most part, I've just had to drink water. Like, I can trick my body into letting me eat if I can have soup or like a smoothie, but I'm not able to sit down and eat meals without feeling like my throat's gonna close. So I've just kind of lost interest in being able to eat. Like I lost interest in food and eating because I associate eating with not being able to breathe and it makes me not want to eat and not want to be bothered. And with the air quality, being kind of high this weekend, I just didn't eat for the most part. Like I ate once on Friday after work and once today. Um, and I think I had like a bowl of soup maybe the night before that. But in between all of that, I've just been having soup. I've just been having tea, smoothies, and water. Like, and then I bought like some protein yogurts from Whole Foods. But I only bought like 3 or 4 of those. I didn't buy like enough to go through it throughout the day. But basically, because I haven't been eating much, I don't have a lot of energy and that also affects my mood. It's not like I was in a bad mood and I had an attitude with people, but like I could tell that people picked up that there's something wrong with me and didn't want to interact with me as much. Also, TMI, but I started bleeding on Saturday and my periods make me nauseous. So, nausea on top of already not eating, on top of the air quality index, on top of my throat issues and not being able to fully speak, it was just a recipe for disaster. So about a year ago, when I had my mastectomy, I posted like the plastic surgery horror story here for like the full, context of that. But basically, the tube they put down my throat for breathing, like when they pulled it out, it damaged my vocal cords, and I've been having issues speaking ever since. Like I've looked up, vocal therapy videos and been able to talk because I actually lost the ability to speak twice since this happened. And ever since then, I haven't really been able to talk at a normal rate like I used to. let alone like be able to like yell or like project my voice much. So a lot of times when I was speaking to people, they couldn't hear me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot speak, let alone yell at people. And it's like music and talking and all that. Like I couldn't speak enough to like project my voice out for people to hear me. Like when people walk past my table and I would say hi, I would say hello, people wouldn't hear me because I just wasn't able to like speak up and project my voice a lot. And I feel like that limited my reach and the ability to properly connect with people. So like at some point throughout the day, I got really, really hot and I started doing deep breaths. And I'm trying to do these deep breaths in between people looking at me because I didn't want anybody to get alarmed. And at one point, I asked my partner to wet a napkin and like squeeze it out so that I can have a damp napkin at the back of my neck because I felt myself getting nauseous to the point where I thought I was going to puke. And I was worried because I did not eat on Sunday and I didn't really eat that much on Saturday. So I really had no idea what was going to happen because I felt like my body starting to prepare for that whole process and I just didn't want to go through it. So I did what I could to mitigate the situation, but I'm sure people saw me breathing hard and like fanning myself and kind of freaking out a bit. So I feel like that kind of scared people away too, just like noticing that I wasn't doing well. Also, when I was walking around, I wasn't able to fully walk. I could tell that people could tell that I wasn't able to fully walk and knew that there was something wrong with me, but didn't want to say anything to me about it. So I feel like me not being my full health definitely affected my ability to sell because I feel like people didn't want to interact with me because they could tell that I wasn't feeling well. Okay, so let's get into displays. I don't think that I had adequate displays for what I was selling, and that's, on me. Also, I feel like because of the time crunch, I felt pressure to just get whatever displays that I can get because I feel like I picked the displays based on what I sell, but also based on what would get here faster. I saw some other displays that I felt like would be more appropriate for stickers, would be more appropriate for sticky notes and things, but I knew that they wouldn't get here in time, even on Amazon. So I just ordered what I could get as far as like what I can afford and what would get here on time due to the tight time constraints. And I felt like because I wasn't able to get those adequate displays needed to properly present my work, that it definitely affected, the customer's experience interacting with me. I'm gonna post a picture here, and it's like over a decade old. I'm holding this picture because I met the artist the same day, and we decided to do an art trade. I gave her some jewelry, she gave me some art, and she let me like flip through her. She had like one of those milk crates of prints. So you flip through her print bin and pick out some stuff to trade with her. And I picked this because it looked like me at the time because I happened to be wearing like long white braids just like this with blonde bangs. And this is a black anime girl with the same look as me. I did not know this girl. We literally met that day, and I just thought, oh wow, what a lovely coincidence. So that's why I'm holding this in this picture here. But the reason why it's relevant is because when I first started selling jewelry and doing events, um, there wasn't really a lot of information out there about craft show, art show setup stuff. I thought that, I pay my fee and show up and they would have the table and they would have the chairs and the lights and everything for me, but they didn't. So they just told me I could set up at like this random coffee table and that I can just sit in like this random chair that they had near the coffee table and like that'll be my setup for the day until, I come back with a better one. And even though I had no table, no chair, no lights, no anything, I literally just showed up with myself and my jewelry. I was still able to make a couple of $100 that night. Customers, they understood, like, hey, not everybody's super familiar with these events. If people like your work, then they like your work and they're going to buy it. Especially if they like your energy, they like your vibe, they like everything they have going on. So I did do research and I did look up, craft show displays and everything. But, I was limited to one, what I could afford in a short time period, and two, what would be here prior to the event. And I also tried to think about what would be easiest to pack up, what would be lightest, what would be, something that'll be versatile for a multitude of different things that I have. And that is what I ended up choosing based on. So I only bought like half of a table. Like a full table was 8 feet long. And I was like, I don't have enough inventory to fill up a whole 8 foot long table. And I don't have the time and money to buy a bunch of stuff to fill up that much of a space. So I'm just gonna get this little half table. We're gonna work with the displays that we have, and then we're gonna, see what we can do. I would say that standards for craft show displays have changed a lot over the years. I feel like back then, the average craft show art market type customer, they didn't really have a lot of expectations for displays or anything. They were just happy to be out and about at like an art market, an art fair, craft show, whatever. They were really just there for the experience to interact with local artisans in their community and see all they could find. And we didn't have social media the way that we do now to show us all these different, display ideas and such. And I feel like this audience in particular, they're used to a certain standard when it comes to craft shows and craft fair displays and stuff, especially the customers that are like regulars at these events, where they come to every single Chicago artisan market at this location, at other locations in other states and such. So like I feel like I just didn't meet those standards, and that's on me. I also feel like anything less than what they're used to, they're just not impressed. And I don't blame them for that. That is on me. This has been a learning experience on my part. I'm not mad at anybody or anything. I'm not blaming anybody or anything. I'm just, reiterating my observations and just talking about things that I would change and things I would do differently next time. I would say my mood played a giant factor in the success of the event. I was already upset at all of the things that had went wrong prior to the event, and I was already, kind of disappointed in a lot of different things. I was disappointed in the traffic not being what I had experienced before when I had gone there like a year or so ago, and how packed it was. I was already kind of disappointed in the weather and like this, weather advisory and how it had affected my health, the health of many around me, but also like the traffic of the event. And I was already, kind of on edge, like, oh no, they changed things last minute. Is this adequate enough time for, the customers to fully understand what's happening? And, am I going to get the turnout that, I'm expecting to make a profit and everything like that? Like I was like, had all this anxiety about all these other seeming circumstances. And it did not help dealing with my health issues and everything. And it's had insult to injury as if I wasn't already struggling with my health. I got my period and that made my health even worse. Like I really thought I was gonna start puking, nothing at one point, and that would have made things so much worse. Like I just felt like Newton's law was very heavy on this day. Like anything that could go wrong went wrong. And I don't know. I was just like, honestly, the event was from 11 to 5, and by noon, I was ready to just pack all my shit and go home. Because I knew I wasn't going to have a good day based on the traffic, based on my interactions with people and everything, and based on like how I just wasn't getting a lot of sales. I didn't even make enough money to pay back the booth fee, let alone the money that I spent on displays and like ordering stickers and all this other stuff to the event. I was just ready to go home and get in bed because I wasn't feeling well and things weren't going my way. So I definitely feel like my mood affected the success of the event because I can only control my mood so much when I'm not feeling well. Still very grateful for the experience. I feel like this was a learning experience and I learned a lot from it. It was an expensive mistake, but these things happen. And the only thing I can do is try to learn everything that I can from it and move forward and make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes in the future. You guys can take this with a grain of salt, but I believe in energy and I'm very sensitive to it. And I know that when I am not fully in control of my energy, that affects how other people interact with me. And I wasn't able to project the type of energy that I wanted to project out into the world that day, and to the full extent that I wanted to, because I wasn't feeling well. And I feel like people picked up on that. And instead of being compelling and drawing people towards me, I felt like I was being repulsive and I was driving people away with my energy before they even got in my energy field. Like I felt it, I saw it, like I don't know how else to describe it, but I felt like my energy was very repulsive that day based on all these other things that I had going on. And instead of allowing myself to be compelling and draw people in toward me like I had at previous events, like I don't know how else to describe it, but you have to be the type of person that knows how to kind of turn your energy on and off and allow that to have an effect on the world around you. Like I've done events in the past and I'm like, okay, I need to channel this type of energy for today so that I can hit my financial goals and make the whole experience financially worth it and continue to pour into myself and my arts. And I would meditate in that energy and make sure that that is the energy that I'm in today, set my intentions, and be able to go out into the world and experience that coming back to me in real time. But because of all these other things going on, I just wasn't able to tap into that. I wasn't able to channel that compelling energy that I had done in the past to get people to gravitate towards me more so that I can hit my financial goals. I was kind of energetically blocked off and people picked up on that. So it was a cycle. Like I was not able to project the type of energy that I wanted to project for people to pick up on, and then people picked up on it and returned that back to me. And it was just this cycle kind of flowing between me and the people around me. I also feel like my target audience just wasn't in the room with us that day. A lot of the things in my shop are very like kind of goth, Halloweeny, spooky, or whatever. And I've sold, my work year round before. Like when I used to do events and I would sell jewelry, and like a lot of my jewelry was like alternative, Halloweeny, kind of spooky, whatever. I've sold that year round, no problem. But I feel like with art, it's a little bit different, just a little bit different. And I feel like I needed to have a little bit more clearer direction and a better understanding of things. So I did get some ideas on how to present my art more for future events just by observing a lot of the artists around me and how they presented similar things that I do, or how they sell things that are different than me and how their presentation worked for them. And I'm definitely taking notes, and I'm definitely, going to, take the lessons I learned from this event towards future events so that I can have a more successful outcome. Hopefully, there won't be any more wildfires that brings this smoky air into the atmosphere, and hopefully, my printer doesn't have issues, and hopefully, I don't get invited to events less than 2 weeks prior to, and everything's marketed and like all these other things go right outside of me, and I'm able to do things right on my end so that I can have a better and like more successful outcome. I don't blame the event coordinators. I don't blame the customers. I don't blame the weather. I don't blame anyone or anything for things not going right. I just feel like this is a learning experience and I need to go from there. So I'm just gonna like just take a beat, take a step back. I scheduled all of my posts on TikTok till the end of next week, and I schedule all my posts on Instagram to the end of this week so that I don't have to worry about creating new content. I don't have to worry about starting any new projects at the moment. I can just focus on healing, recovering, and reflecting on what it is I can do better next time and focus on, okay, so where do we go from here? Like, how can we turn this around into something better? So, if you're an artist and you've done craft fairs and you sell things similar to me and you have any advice on how I could restructure or rearrange things for future events to have a more successful outcome, I am more than happy to hear your advice. If you are somebody that sees my art that I post in my shorts videos and you're curious about something, you have any questions, you want to join it or whatever, I have a lot of stuff available on Etsy, and I will be listing some new stuff soon because I ordered some new stickers and I made a lot of prints for this event, and I did design some new bookmarks that I haven't got the chance to print out yet. So once everything is all printed and sorted, then I'm going to print everything out, do like a nice little photo shoot for everything, take the pictures, and then, list everything online and everything so that I can focus on future projects. There's some other things that I've been meaning to work on. There's some other things that I've been meaning to promote and I haven't been doing it. I just need to focus on doing those things and not get in my feelings and like feel defeated and let that stop me from pursuing my dreams and pursuing my goals and everything. At the end of the day, I still want to be an artist. I still want to sell in person. I still want to continue creating and making things that are cute and fun, exciting, welcoming, things that make people happy and brighten their day. Like at the end of the day, like that's it. Like I just want to be able to channel my creative energy into something physical that people can add to their lives in a positive way and add value to them and just spread it out to the world and have little pieces of my soul kind of scattered to share with you all. Like that's the ultimate goal. Like money's cool and all, but I want you guys to enjoy my art and have value from it. I want you to be able to hang it up. I'm gonna turn like silly light on. I want you to be able to like hang it up. I want you to put my stickers on things. I want you to have be able to like put magnets on your fridge or whatever. Like I want you to be able to use my sticky notes to like make your stationery more interesting, more engaging. Like I want people to enjoy my work because I enjoy what I do and I enjoy putting my creative energy into things to be shared with people, and I want to share that experience with people. I just need to figure out a better way of doing it, a better way of putting myself out there, a better way of marketing, a better way of selling, a better way of channeling that, compelling energy to draw people in instead of the opposite where I'm kind of repelling a lot of people. So I just want to, reflect on that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Okay, so today's market day, I just got back from Chicago Artisan Market and Fulton Market. I'm pretty tired. A lot of things went wrong this weekend. Financially, it was a bust, but I still had a good day. I still had a good time. I still enjoyed myself. There's just a lot of things that went wrong that were kind of out of my control. I don't blame anyone or anything. I would do this again sometime later in the year. There are slots available that, would be lined up more with my art style because a lot of things in my shop are very Halloween, very fall, very spooky. And I just feel like my target audience just wasn't in the room with us today. And there's multiple factors to that, but let's break down these layers I'm wearing. So, one of the reasons why the saxophone started getting louder this weekend for me is because in the midst of all the chaos with the printers, I started bleeding. I know, TMI. But let's break down, my little setup. So I wore this red leopard print dress because it matches my pink faja, and I knew it wouldn't look too leopard on leopard. And then I did my makeup to match, so it just looks like it's a part of my personal style. So underneath this faja, obviously my dress, and then I have compression shorts. Underneath the compression shorts is a diaper. Underneath the diaper is like one of those heat therapy stickers. It's like a heat and pet sticker underneath this. And then what I took with me today was ibuprofen and like extra diapers, because yes, I am wearing a diaper, and what do you call it? Wipes. I brought extra wipes, and I also got like those little doggy pooper scooper bags to put everything in between sessions. I ended up having to change twice today while I was at the art market. I'm pretty exhausted. This has been really stressful. A lot of things went wrong in the last 2 days that, had they went right, I feel like things could have went differently today as far as the market went. I will do a breakdown on YouTube sharing with you guys like a deeper dive into things, but I'm exhausted. I didn't get a lot of sleep in the last few days. Some of you guys may know I haven't been eating in the past month or so because of severe acid reflux and not fully understanding what I am and am not allergic to. When I had my allergic reaction about a month ago, and my periods make me nauseous. So, in addition to, well, the air quality has improved a lot, but still, remnants of, bad air. So, in addition to the air quality, clearing up from being bad from the Canadian wildfires, acid reflux causing my throat to close up every time I try and eat something solid, nausea, all the things that come with me on my period, the printer issues, and just the fact that I was invited to the show last minute I was only told about this show like a week and a half ago leading up to the event, so I didn't have the proper time needed to prepare for it. Also, the reason why I was invited to the show last minute is because they changed the location kind of last minute leading up to the date, and I felt like the show didn't fully advertise that with enough time in advance for people to show up, as well as they advertised other events. I know the last time I went here, it was packed. Everybody was buying everything, and it was really nice. I feel like it was very well marketed. That's why I felt confident coming in last minute because I thought, the marketing would be just as good. And it wasn't until a couple of days ago that they just started posting on Instagram. No shade, no tea, but that's what happened. There's two Artisan Market pages. There's one that's a main general event one, and then there's a Chicago one, and the Chicago one was promoting. So yeah, like I'm home. This is the fit. I put pink shimmer on my cleavage to match the shimmer on my face, to match my faja, and everything. I feel like it looked really cute, all coming together. I am tired, and I'm going to take a nap.